Today's music legend that you should know is the great Brazilian mandolinist and composer, Choro de Bandolim. I'd say he was reaching the peak of his fame in the 1940s and 50s and into the 60s. And he died suddenly of a heart attack in 1969. He is just about my favorite mandolin player. And I've played with some of the greatest mandolinists in the world in America. I used to play with Jethro Burns, and I've played with Sierra Hull and Chris Thiele, who are all unbelievable. But Choro had something special. The whole tradition of Choro, the style he played in Brazil, was a very, very special kind of music that is very emotionally compelling, as well as very technically adept. And the style of mandolin that he played, it's called a Portuguese mandolin, and it's kind of a round shape with a flat back. It's very different from the European, the Neapolitan mandolin with the beetle back, or the American bluegrass mandolins in the style of the Gibson mandolins. The style of Choro, I have to say, was very, very popular through the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and then it was supplanted by the bossa nova, okay? And only later did Brazilian people realize what a treasure this stuff was and came back to it and started playing it again. And a whole younger generation of musicians started playing it again in the 1980s. Some of you might know this. I am a mandolin player, so I appreciate this instrument from the inside out. Now, I was totally unaware that they had a tradition like that until my friend Geraldo de Oliveira, percussionist, he brought back some albums of Choro from Brazil in the early 1980s. And I started playing this stuff, and I just fell in love with his playing. One of the interesting things about Choro is that he was also a pharmacist and an insurance salesman. And you'd think that somebody who would get as famous as he got, he was a huge star. Someone that famous would of course throw those things to the side. He never did. Until the end of his life, he was still a pharmacist as far as I know, which is amazing. He had an amazing tone. When he plays slow, he didn't use the tremolo like most mandolin players do for holding out long notes. He would just let a note ring. It was like he made the mandolin talk and sing. It really did. His technique was so perfect. He had iron chops. I've never heard any mistake on any recording that he ever released. And some of the fastest, most intricate stuff. And the harmonies in his music, they drew from European harmonies and Portuguese music a little bit, but also from American jazz and ragtime and the original music of Brazil too, the harmonies of Brazil that evolved there. So some of his most famous compositions and my favorite ones, there's one called Noites Cariocas. Carioca is a person who lives in Rio, which is what Choro was. Another one is called Assanhado. And Assanhado is really bluesy, and it has some elements of American jazz and ragtime in it. And very, very funky sounding. And one of his most famous pieces, though, is called A Voo da Mosca. Now, Choro had a great sense of humor, and A Voo da Mosca means the flight of the fly. And just like the very famous Flight of the Bumblebee, you know, the Flight of the Fly is a perpetual motion piece. It never stops. And his recording of it is absolute perfection. And it's a complicated piece in rondo form with many sections. And this is sort of like the Donna Lee of Brazilian Choro players now. And a lot of them try to see how fast they can play it, because he played it pretty fast, but some of the younger guys are just playing it at blazingly fast tempos. But above all, it's beautiful. Like just about everything he played has beauty, amazing touch on the mandolin. And so Brazil has this great mandolin tradition inspired by Choro. There are so many wonderful younger mandolin players. Now, Hamilton de Holanda is one. Another one is Ian Curry, and there's Armandinho and Danilo Brito. All these people have just incredible technique and great soul and feeling in their playing. It's something that a lot of people are not aware of, this mandolin tradition in Brazil. But if you listen to Choro, I promise you will not be disappointed. There are many recordings of him available. Unfortunately, no videos of him performing, which is really crazy. You'd think someone would have filmed it, but nobody ever did. There are some live performances. My favorite is with the singer Elizabeth Cardoso. It's a song called Baracal do Zinco. You should find it if you can. It's really something. So I've put many of his tunes on my Spotify playlist, and I urge you to check it out and any kind of recordings that you can find of Choro. He's somebody that will really flip you out and change your idea of what the mandolin is about.